Hello lovelies, and welcome back to another video. And if this is your first time on my channel, welcome. I'm so excited that you're here. Today we're going to be looking at the most recent launch from one of my favorite indie brands, Cosmic Beauty, and this is the Angelic palette. It is such a beautiful 12-pan palette. It is so cute. I love the packaging on this palette, and the color story inside is so beautiful. We'll get to that in just a little bit, but I'm going to show you today how I created this beautiful pink and purple inspired look. I've got my pink shirt on today, and then I've even got some beautiful purple earrings. These were actually given to me by one of my friend's daughters. Thank you so much, Adri, for these beautiful earrings. They are so cute. I'm so grateful to you for creating them. You did such a good job, and I really wanted to just get to showcase them in one of my videos, and I'm so glad I got to use them in this video today. They go beautifully with this pink and purple inspired look that I created. So I'm really excited to show you how I created this look. So come along with me and let's make up the rules. The Angelic palette is such a beautiful little palette. I absolutely love the packaging on this. As you can see, as you turn it in the light, it's got just kind of this rainbow holographic effect. It is so cute. It is just such a little cutie palette. I'm so excited to dive into this one today. So I'm going to go ahead and take it out of the sleeve, and then we'll take a look at the color story inside. It does have a little plastic cover inside to keep your eyeshadows safe, so we'll go ahead and take that out. And then this is the color story inside the palette. It is so pretty. When I opened this, when it arrived in the package, I just absolutely lost my breath. It was so pretty. It's just so stunning to look at. All of the eyeshadows in here are pressed in so beautifully and really just create such a lovely color story. So let's go ahead and take some swatches and take a deeper look at these colors. The shades in this palette are so pretty. They are very light and beautiful, definitely very ethereal and angelic. It definitely goes very well with the packaging and with the name of the palette and everything. When I look at this palette, I really kind of see this in two different sections. There's more of the kind of blue, kind of greenish side, and then more of that kind of pink and purple kind of side over here. So there's really 6 shades on one side and 6 on the other, but then of course also you can just mix and match and create a unique look using all the different colors in here. As I was going through the swatches, it swatched beautifully. All of the mattes in here were a beautiful formula. They were so buttery, easy to the touch, easy just to apply the swatches and just really create some pigment and build them up. This shade up here in the top right called Graceful, it is the lightest shade in the palette. It didn't show up a whole lot during my swatches. I definitely had to build that one up, but I do think if I'm not applying it on my arm and applying it on my eye with some eye primer, I think it'll be really pretty and it'll be a nice transition shade. This shade down here, Cherub, this one is absolutely stunning. I really like that shade. It's kind of just got sort of a deep rose kind of shade to it, so it's a really pretty one. I love that there is a lot of range in this palette. We've got some really light shades that are good for transition shades or maybe inner corner highlight, and then we've got a couple of really deep shades. One of them is Everlasting and one is Affirmation. Those are the 2 deepest shades in the palette, and I really love that the 2 deep shades, there's one that's sort of a really deep bluish green shade and one that's a little bit more on the reddish brown side. So I love that there's a deep shade for both of those 2 different sections in the palette. So you can really create a deep blue and green look or a really deep pink and purple look. So I think that would look really pretty either way, just to really be able to deepen up the look. And then the shimmers on this palette are absolutely gorgeous. I love that there's a range of them. There's only 4 shimmers in the palette, but they definitely have some blue, some kind of lighter green shade, pink, and then more purple. So there's a lot of range in here. There's a lot of shift to the shimmers. So I think they'd go really well with some of the mattes in here and really be able to create a very beautiful look. I was thinking as I was swatching them, I think some of these would look pretty to apply the matte and then put shimmer over it. I think that would really create a very deep and pigmented look with the shimmers. So I'm really excited. I think I may try that out in this look today. So I'm really excited to go ahead and dive into this palette and create a look. So let's go ahead and get started. To start out the look, I went ahead and primed my eyes with my Ulta Beauty Pigment Pop Eye Primer, so we're ready to go ahead and jump into this beautiful palette. I think today I do want to go for more of a pink and purple look, so I'm really going to be focusing more on this half of the palette. I'm going to be going in with a fluffy blending brush. This is from Beauté from their Paletteopoly collection. This is P2. And I think I'm going to start in the outer corner and sort of build up some pigment there and then lighten up as we move towards the inner corner. So I'm going to start with this beautiful shade right here. This is definitely my favorite from the palette. This one is called Cherub, and I'm just going to pick a little bit of this up on this brush and going to start applying this in the outer corner. So I'm just going to, with my brush, just use kind of a light patting motion and just go ahead and start building up the pigment over here on the outer corner and just really start to get some pigment on the eye. This is such a beautiful shade. Like I said, it's kind of like a dusty rose kind of shade. It is really, really lovely and is really very pigmented and creating a very beautiful look on this outer corner. So I'm just sort of patting it in and then using circular motions just to sort of blend it out and just kind of smoke it out on the edges and really just start to really create a nice deep outer corner. And I'm bringing it about halfway across the crease, just really creating about the outer half of the eye with this pigment. And that is so pretty. That is such a beautiful color. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other eye. This is such a lovely shade. I love how this is looking. I do want to go ahead and deepen up the outer corner just a little bit. So we are going to go into this really deep shade here. Like I said, there's a deep shade on this half of the palette and a deep shade on this half that I think is really nice just to create a nice blend in all of these shades. So using the same brush, I'm just going to go ahead and dip into this shade. It's called Affirmation. I love the names in this palette. They are so pretty and just so light and lovely and sweet, and definitely go really well with that angelic theme. So I'm just going to pick some of that up on that P2 brush and just going to go ahead and start patting this into the outer corner and using circular motions just to blend into that cherub shade and really start to deepen up the outer corner. I definitely do not want to overpower that cherub shade at all. I mostly just want to keep this on the lid right here in the outer corner and just really deepen up just this part and leave the cherub more up here in the crease. So again, just circular motion, back and forth motion, just really blending those two shades together and creating a nice cohesive look. It is such a lovely shade. It is really nice and deep and dark, and I love that. I don't tend to like palettes that don't have at least one deep shade in there that you can really deepen up the outer corner. I always think that's just such a pretty look, just to have some depth in your look and just to really create a nice deep outer corner and really kind of smoky looks or effects. I think that's really nice. This looks really pretty. Those are blending together very nicely and just creating a nice deep smoky sultry look. So I'm going to go ahead and pop some of that on the other side and I'll be right back. This is such a pretty, just deep rosy kind of look. I'm absolutely loving how these shades are blending together. I went ahead and cleaned off that brush, and now we're going to start to lighten up as we move towards the inner corner along the crease. So I'm going to go in with this very, very light shade here, Graceful. It is really pretty, and when I swatched it, this is the one that showed up the lightest and really didn't show up a lot on my arm, but I'm hoping with my Pigment Pop Eye Primer and applying with a brush and everything and blending everything together, it'll just give a nice transition shade as we moved across the crease. So I've got a little bit of this just on my clean brush, and I'm just going to go ahead and go right across the crease and just kind of blend this into that cherub shade on the outer corner and just really just kind of get a nice light rosy look here on the inner part of the crease and the middle of the crease, and really just kind of using circular motions as I'm meeting that cherub shade and blending those together and giving just a little bit more depth right here on the center of the crease. And this is definitely very pretty. You can really start to see a little bit of the pigment. It's not a very, very bright shade, but it is definitely blendable, and like I said, the Pigment Pop Eye Primer I think is really helping, just using that white primer just to have a little bit of tackiness for the shade to grab onto, and then also just to really lighten up the lid so that the pigment in this shade can pop. It is very pretty, and it is definitely very buildable, so really just creating a lot of pigment here, just applying a little bit more, picking some up on my brush and just continuing to apply, I think is really helping to build up that pigment, and also blending it into that cherub shade and pulling that as I'm moving towards the inner corner. I think it's helping just to blend it out. That is such a pretty shade. I absolutely love how all of this is blending together, so I'm going to go ahead and put some on the other side. The pinks in this look are so lovely. I absolutely love how all of these shades are blending together. And now I do want to dip a little bit into some purple and start to kind of build up the purple in this look. So I'm going to go into this matte shade up here. This one is such a lovely purple. It is really pretty. This one is called Divine. And I'm going to go in with another brush from that Paletteopoly collection from Ace Beauté. This is P3. And I'm going to use this flat brush to go ahead and pick up some purple pigment and just start to apply that on the lid. So I do have some of those darker shades here on the lid as well. So I'm going to go a little bit more towards the center of the lid and towards the inner corner with this purple shade. And just going to go ahead and start to pat this right across the lid and just sort of blend it into that outer corner. That is such a pretty purple shade. It is just nice and light and lovely, and it is blending very nicely with those other pink shades as well, and just starting to give a little bit more of a pop of purple to this look. I absolutely love that. I think that looks so pretty with the pink, and it's definitely just creating a very nice, beautiful look. That purple is so pretty, and so now I want to start lightening it up a little bit and adding a little bit of shimmer to this look. So I'm going to go ahead and go in with my NYX glitter primer, and I'm going to pick up just a little bit of this on my finger, and I'm going to apply it right on top of that purple matte shade that we just applied. So I want to put some shimmer on top of it. I mentioned that earlier, and so I think that's going to really look pretty just to create a little bit more pigment with the purple matte underneath the shimmer. So I'm just going to pick up some of that NYX glitter primer, and I'm just going to, with my finger, apply this right on top of that shade and just put this all over the lid. And just prep this for the shimmer that we're going to apply. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and just using a tapping motion. I don't want to pick up the purple pigment from the matte. I don't want to take it out of the look. I definitely want it to be there, but I do want to have some tackiness for the shimmer to apply to and to hold on to. So I've got that. I'm going to just wipe that excess glue off of my fingers, and then I'm going to go in with this beautiful shade here. This one is called Angelic. This is the name of the palette, and this is such a beautiful shimmer. It's got a little bit of a shift to it, looks like, but it's mostly purple based. So I think I'm just going to go in with my finger to apply this. So I'm just going to pick some up out of the pan, and it is a really, really pretty shade, and it is just very, very sparkly, very beautiful. So we're going to go ahead and apply this on the lid. So just taking it on my finger, I'm just going to tap it over where we applied the NYX glitter glue. So I'm just going to tap this on. And yes, that is so pretty. It is definitely showing up very purple, and I think having that Divine shade underneath it, that matte purple, is really giving it a little bit of extra pigment. As I was taking the swatches, I did realize that a lot of the shimmers looked very kind of sheer and very thin, and definitely just have kind of just a light sort of topper shade to them, and so I do think having the matte underneath really creates a lot of excess pigment and really helps that shimmer just to pop and shine on the lid. That is so pretty. That is such a beautiful shade, and it is showing up so nicely with those pinks and purples that we've been blending together. So I'm really happy that I went ahead and layered the matte with the shimmer, and I'm really happy with how this is applying. So I'm going to go ahead and pop some on the other eye. That shimmer is so stunning. It is absolutely gorgeous on the eyes. I'm loving how that looks. So now we're going to go ahead and work on the lower lash line. I'm going in with another one of those Paletteopoly brushes. This is P4. This is a smaller, more detail-oriented brush. And I'm going to mix a couple of colors as we're moving across the lower lash line. I'm going to move back into that Divine shade, and into that cherub shade and kind of blend these half and half across the lower lash line. So I'm going to start more towards the inner corner, going across underneath that purple, and I'm going to go in with that Purple Divine shade and just pick up a little bit of this on the end of my brush and just going to line this underneath about half of my lower lash line. So I'm going to start here towards the inner corner and then just using soft back and forth motions, just start to build up the pigment across the lower lash line. And I'm just going to keep this right underneath the purple, just kind of mirroring the top. These shades are so pretty. I'm so glad that I decided to jump into the pinks and the purples for my first look using this palette. Of course, I'm really excited about the other half of the palette, more of those blues and green, and I'll definitely have to create a look using those. But this was definitely a great introduction to this Angelic palette. These are such beautiful, light, feminine shades, and I absolutely love how they look. So I'm just building up that pigment and really just bringing it down just a little bit so I've got a nice thick line underneath my lower lash line and really have just a lot of pigment here. That is so pretty. I love those purples. It's so sweet and soft. So I'm going to go ahead and put some on the other side, and then we'll start to add a little bit more pink to the lower lash line. That is so pretty. Now I'm going to go ahead and go in with that same brush without cleaning it off in between and jump back into that pink cherub shade and going to go ahead and finish lining the lower lash line. So just picking up some of that pigment and going more towards the outer corner, meeting where that cherub shade was on the top here in the outer corner. So just kind of blending this right in the middle where that divine purple shade is, and just blending the two and just creating a little bit more of a pink shade down here on the lower lash line. All of these shades blend together so nicely. They are just so pretty and they just go together beautifully. And again, just right here in the outer corner where that cherub shade is meeting from the lower lash line into the top of the lid, I'm just kind of using the brush and just patting together and just making sure that those connect and blend together. That is so pretty. I'm absolutely loving how this is looking. I absolutely love this eyeshadow look. I do want to just finish it off with a little bit more pink and a little more shimmer for the inner corner. So I'm going to go into this lovely pink shade. This one is called Halo. And going to pick this up with a detailing brush from Real Technique and just picking up a little bit of this on the end of my brush, and I'm going to spray this with some Ulta Beauty setting spray just to give it a little bit of tackiness on the shade, and then I'm going to work on applying this on the inner corner. So I'm just going to tap this right here on the inner corner and just blending it down a little bit into the lower lash line and a little bit up into the crease to blend in with that light graceful shade, because most of this look did end up being a little more purple just because of that shimmer on the lid. So I definitely wanted to pull a little bit more pink back into the look, and I think that that is perfect for an inner corner highlight. And I'm also going to apply just a little bit of this as a brow bone highlight as well. That is so lovely. I love that. I'm going to go ahead and put some on the other side, and then we'll wrap up this look. I love this eyeshadow look. It is so soft, so beautiful and feminine. So I'm going to go ahead and step off camera, add some liner and lashes, some just finishing touches, and then I'll be back in just a moment and we'll take a look at the final look. And here's the final look. I'm so happy with how this turned out. I think it is such a beautiful, just soft, lovely look. For my details, I decided to go in with a wing just to create just a nice feminine eyeliner look with this eyeshadow. And so I went in with my Wet n Wild Breakup Proof Waterproof Liner in Ultra Black. And then I did tight line across the top with my Ulta Beauty Automatic Eyeliner in Matte Black. And then for the lower waterline, I decided, since I had a mix of pink and purple with the eyeshadow across the lower lash line, that I wanted to do the same with my eyeliner. So for that inner half where we have the purple shadow, I went ahead and went in with an Ulta Beauty Collection Color Punch Automatic Eyeliner in Lovely Lilac. And then for the outer half where we have that pink shadow, I went in with an Ulta Beauty Collection Automatic Eyeliner, and this is Matte Powder Pink. So I think that mixture of the two was really pretty. And then to top it all off with my mascara and my lashes, I went in with my Tarte Maneater waterproof mascara. So I think this look turned out really pretty. I'm really happy with how it looked. So I'm going to zoom you in. We'll take a closer look at the final look, and then I'll share some of my initial thoughts about the Cosmic Beauty Angelic palette. Just to share a few of my initial thoughts about the Angelic palette, of course, I think this palette is absolutely stunning. The packaging is so pretty. I love that rainbow look. It definitely just gives such just a heavenly vibe to this little palette. I think it's so cute. I do like that this is a 12 pan palette. The other one that I have is the Gothic palette, and this one is so different. The Gothic palette is all black, this one's all white, so it's definitely a very different package. And then the color stories inside are very different as well. The Gothic palette is so much darker and moodier, and this one just is so much lighter and just so heavenly and sweet. And also with the Gothic palette, it is such a monochromatic purple palette, and I love that this one has so much just variation and so much different in the shades. I know I've mentioned several times throughout the video that I really see this as two different sections. We've got the blues and greens and then the pinks and purples, and I really enjoyed getting to play on this side of the palette today and creating this look. I think this look is so beautiful. Of course, it's to be expected with Cosmic Beauty. Their formula is just so beautiful and so easy to work with and so nice. So I definitely really enjoyed creating this look, and I'll definitely have to jump into this side of the palette in another video and create another more blue and green inspired look. I'll probably do a short on that, and so definitely keep an eye out for that coming probably pretty soon. I'm really excited about this palette and definitely want to play with it more, but I just think the formula in here is the same great Cosmic Beauty formula that I love, and the shimmers in here, I do wish they were a little bit more just kind of thick and had a little bit more substance to them. I love that they have some kind of thin, more kind of topper like shades in here, but I do wish that there was a little bit more variation in the shimmers. Most of these did, as I swatched them and as I used them today, come across very thin and very light, so I would definitely love a little bit more of kind of foiled texture type shimmers. These are mostly just kind of light glittery shimmers. They are very pretty, and I definitely am really glad, especially for this Angelic purple shimmer shade, that I put it over the Divine Matte shade. I think that really helped the shimmer to pop and gave it more of that purple pigment that I was hoping for. So I do think that's a really good way to maximize the shimmers in this palette, but they on their own unfortunately are just a little bit on the thin side. I do understand with the Angelic and heavenly kind of vibe they were going for why they did that, but I personally would have preferred if some of the shimmers were a little bit more substantial. But I do love the mattes in here. I think they're really pretty. I love the versatility from light, medium, and dark, and really being able to create a very smoky effect on your eyeshadow and really being able to deepen it up. And I love that there is a deep shade for the pink side and a deep shade for the more blue and green side. So I think they did a fantastic job on this palette. I think all of the shades in here are beautiful, and I'm really excited also to see how they all perform together in one eye look, to combine the pinks and purples and blues and greens, and to see how that would look. I think it would be really pretty, and I think it would apply very nicely with this palette. So I overall think this is a great palette. I'm so glad that I added it to my collection, and I can't wait to use it more. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video today. I hope you enjoyed watching this tutorial and review of the Cosmic Beauty Angelic palette. I definitely really enjoyed getting to use it today. If you like Cosmic Beauty and want to see more content about them, I do have a few videos using some of their other palettes, and most recently I created a Cosmic Beauty ranking. Unfortunately, it was before I picked up the Angelic palette, but it does have the other Cosmic Beauty palettes that I have in my collection, and I went through and I ranked them from my least favorite to my favorite. So if you're interested in seeing that video, definitely check out the link in the description box below, and I would love to hear your thoughts about the Angelic palette. Have you picked this one up, and what were your thoughts about this tutorial today? If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and hit that like button. And if you would like to see more makeup tutorials and reviews, swatches, all that good stuff from Cosmic Beauty and from other brands, then please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, let's be kind to each other, beautiful to ourselves, and never afraid to make up the rules.